Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be showing real quick how to apply a new material to your assets that you've been provided. So what you'll do is you'll download the Level Design Assets folder and you'll install it into Unity prior to opening it. And once you open Unity, it'll take a few minutes to load in all the assets. So the folder titled Meshes is where you'll get all your 3D assets. And you can see if you click on one of your assets in the inspector, if you scroll down, you'll see that it has a material on it, and it'll be called Level Design Default Material. It'll be a basic gray diffuse with a gray color and no texture. And we've done this on all of the models that we've given you so that they can be default and gray, and so you can focus on designing your level instead of how pretty it is. Okay? Now if you have something more complicated that has more than one texture on it, something like one of these buildings here, let's find a good one. I'll do this one here. If you scroll down in the inspector after selecting it, you'll see that the material does not show up. So what you can do is you can drag it to your level and you can see that it's not showing up because the main item is a group with a bunch of sub pieces inside of it. So if we go to one part, we can see that this one is called Level Design Default Material 2, 5, 7, 6, so there's a lot of different materials on each object in here. And that correlates with your materials folder. So if you go back to your Level Design Assets, Materials folder, there will be a folder called Default, and it says Don't Touch on it. Because we don't want you to touch any of these materials. These are all the materials that we've given you to set up this zip file. Okay? So leave all of those the same. What you're going to do is you're going to create your own materials and apply them. So for example, let's say that I want to create a material for this house. I could right click on the inside the folder structure here, or I could just right click on the main one, the main assets folder, and say create, and I want to create a material. And then I'm going to name it, and I'm going to call this, let's say, the door material, or a house door material. Okay. Now in this house door material, I can then go up and I can pick all the different things I want. So let's say I'm going to do a diffuse detail. What this is going to do is it's going to let me pick a main color, a texture, and a detail, which is also a bump map. Okay, so I'm going to go here and select my texture for the door, and let's just pick this. We'll just pick this brick one here, just for fun. And then we're going to pick the normal map that goes with it, which is the blue one. And so we now have successfully made a material. So now what I'll do is I will select this house, and I will go to the door, and instead of overwriting this material by changing it here, I'm going to change it right here in the Mesh Renderer under the Materials section where it says Element. You can have as many materials on an object as you want, all based on how you've laid it out in your 3D software like Maya or 3D Studio Max. In this case, there's just one element on this guy, so I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it in. And you'll notice that by doing that, it changed the material to bricks. You can see that it's not perfect, but because the door is not set up to have a brick texture, it's set up to have a different type of texture on it. However, you can see that this is the process of adding a material to the object. So again, I could just click on the object that I want to put a texture on. In this case, it was the main walls. And instead of overwriting the material 3 by changing it, I'm going to overwriting it by swapping out the element. Again, I'm going to just drag my material into the new box, or I could click on the little radio button here and pick it from a list. Okay? So that's how you're going to overwrite all the materials. You're not going to touch the default materials. Don't touch those, and do not overwrite them in the inspector, because once you drop them into the new element, it will overwrite them for you. If by chance, for example, you have the default material 2, if you change it to something else, it's going to change every single object that has that material 2 on it as well. So if you have 5,000 trees in your level that have default material 1 and you turn it to green, then all the 5,000 trees are going to turn green. But if all your buildings and all your characters and all your vehicles have the same default material 1, then they're all going to turn green as well. And we don't want to change the default material, we just want to apply our new material into the element and it'll update for us.